website. But let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into this and let's make the Modh or the conditional tense a lot easier for you. First things first, before we even look at the document, I'm going to tell you now, if you can only take one thing away from this video and one thing only, and only remember one thing when it comes to the Modh or the conditional tense, it is the golden rule, which we're going to get to, which is start modification, end modification. With the verb, you need to change one thing at the start and one thing at the end. I'm going to be reminding you of that again and again and again. And even if that makes no sense to you for the time being, don't be worried, we'll get around to it and we'll be able to break it down once more. The second most important thing we're going to go through today is going to be what you can already see on screen, actually, in terms of the endings and knowing those endings like that. I cannot stress to you guys in general with the conditional tense, but with almost everything in the language, with these main kind of golden rules, like the golden rule for the Siri here, I teach ud, her, fur. Again, that's available, let's say, in the cheat sheets, different places if you want to hear more about that. But for almost every kind of tense or concept, there is one golden rule or one main thing to remember. And from there, you can kind of work everything else out, or you should be able to get it close enough, if not perfect, most of the times. But the key is, you can't just half know those rules and kind of say, that's hin, is it first person or second person? And just say yin, hin, may, or yin, hin by itself. It needs to be perfect, okay? Really drilled in. And then everything else you can kind of figure out from there. So learn the fundamentals, the main top rules really well, and then you can work down. So firstly, what is the Modh? What is the conditional tense? Because we're going to get to those two most important things in a few minutes. But it's simply any time you use would in English. That's a very simple way of explaining it, but that's pretty much what it is. So if I say, he would go, she would do, as we have here as the examples, that is using the conditional. Okay, some people will try and explain it again different ways. It's something that might happen in the future, but we don't know if it's going to happen. You know, I would go tomorrow if it's not raining, whatever. You can get lost in all that, and it can become quite ambiguous. Just think of when you use would in English, and 99% of the time that will work. So how do we form it? Well, just like, let's say, the present tense or the future tense in Irish, we're just going to add something to the end. Okay, for the time being, we will get around to what we're adding at the start, but let's take the present tense, for example. And I have another document here just for work. If we take Jane as a root for do, if I want to turn the present tense, what do? I just add on an ending. Jane. If I want to make it future tense, I just add on an ending. The Modh is no different, okay? We're just adding on an ending. So why is it a bit trickier? Why is it known as one of the more trickier things in Irish? Well, firstly, again, if I stick with this for a minute, let's say present tense. I can say Jane and May, Jane and Two, Jane and Shay. I know you confuse them if you want. You could say Jane, but let's, the way I teach it and the way I think most people should learn, unless you're focusing on Munster Irish, because they tend to fuse more, just learn like that. And the great thing about that, and one of the great things about Irish compared to other languages, is the verb does not change. It doesn't matter if I put she'd there, or if I put to, or shiv, it's going to remain Janelan. But in the Modh, it is going to change from person to person. Thankfully, the main way of doing it, there are different ways of doing it, which we will get to in the video, but the main way, and the main way that people learn, you have to have one ending for the first person, and that's going to be a fused ending. I'll get to what a fused ending means in a minute if you're not sure about that. Second person ending, and then all the rest are going to be the same. So to really quickly skip ahead and preview what it's going to look like so you get the idea in your head, let's say with Léigh, it's going to be Léigh hin for I would let, Léigh Paul for you would let, but then after that, for he, she, all the way down to they, including we and you plural, it's going to be Léigh Huch, Léigh Huch, Léigh Huch, and so on. So we just need to remember three endings: first person, second person, and all the rest. Okay, but all the rest being one ending. So what is that ending? Let's just stick with the short verbs for now. I think with endings in Irish, always good just to learn the short endings, and then remember for the long ones, you just need to extend them out a bit as opposed to remembering the long ones as almost completely different concepts. Okay, so if we learn the short ones really well, first we'll kind of be sorted from there. I have no idea why that's just gone highlighted, but that's okay. We can come back up here. So firstly, now it's gone. We're going to be using the hin sound. That's how it's pronounced. We're not going to be pronouncing the F. Slight weird thing here, you know, in terms of the second person, we are going to be pronouncing the F, but in terms of the first person, we're not. Second person, you could pronounce it both ways. You could pronounce it fa or ha. But for the first person, you don't want to pronounce the F. And I do have the pronunciation down here. Rough pronunciation, you can't get it quite right with English phonetics. But just to give you a general guide, it's going to be a hin sound. Okay? So if I'm talking about myself, I'm going to use hin. For second, and we're going to see loads of examples in a minute or two. For second person, I'm going to say fa, can pronounce it ha if I want to, if you want to maintain more consistency between the first and the second one in terms of pronunciation. But I normally say hin and then fa, whether it's broad or slender, it's not going to change. Don't worry about that. And then for everyone else, it's going to be och. Okay, so yin hoch. There's a bit of a H sound even at the start, more so hoch, depending on what's going to come before it. How do you remember that? Think of Coinníollach. And it's a very similar sound then towards the end, Coinníollach, and then the sound for he, she, we, you plural, and they. Okay, and we're going to see how that actually plays out in a minute. There's a quick note about the pronunciation, how they're going to be pronounced. So again, if I can remember two things in this video, nothing else, start modification, end modification, that's my golden rule. I'm always going to change one thing at the start, one thing at the end if possible with the Coinníollach, and that's how I form it, that's how I communicate anything in the Coinníollach. But as well as that, the other thing I want to remember are my three main endings. So hin for me, fa for you, and then for everyone else. So how does this actually play out? Firstly, let's just take a few simple verbs, regular verbs. We will get to the irregulars later. Don't worry, there's only 11 of them, and how you do them in the Coinníollach is pretty simple. You just need to remember one extra rule, one extra kind of caveat. But with something like this that can't take a H, doesn't take any R's or anything, re at the beginning with R and L are always good ones to get started with certain verbs in tenses because not much can change. So here we're just adding on the endings. Re hin, re fa, re hoch she, re hoch she, re hoch muid, re hoch shiv, re hoch sheed. If you've seen different endings before for sheed and muid, we're going to get to that towards the end of the video. Don't worry. And there are a few different ways of doing it. I'm just teaching you the way I do it and the way most people do it. Okay? So again, we've got first person ending, second person ending, and then all the rest. Do we have another verb here? Before we get into the other verbs, we're going to look at the fused endings. And that's basically, did you notice there that we didn't say rihin may? That'll be incorrect. Equally, rifal tu would be incorrect. So it's fused. So that's the exact same way. Let's say instead of Jane and May, I can say Janum. I would never say Jane and May. I would never say Tom May. The M there in both of them represents the May. So it's similar to that. What makes it a bit trickier is the fact that this isn't an M. This is two N's. So it's not really connected to May that much, it seems. But that's how it works. So if I say May, that is incorrect. I do not want to add May or two to the end of those. Ruch she, ruch she, ruch muid, ruch shiv, ruch sheed. And actually towards the end of the video, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that's going to make it even easier if you want, and if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable or just starting off, or especially if you're focusing on Connacht Irish, little secret that's actually going to mean you're not even going to have to use the first and second person endings. So stay with me until the end for that. Again, we've general phonetics, be wary of the English phonetics, but that's just to give you a general idea on how they will sound. And again, this document is available down below if you're a member on Patreon, or you might have already got access to the cheat sheets over on learnirishonline.com. So there we talked about the fused endings. We see them again here, nothing else really changing. In this case, again, it's a slender ending. So let's say L-I-G, so quail, lahan. So that means it's F-I-N-N-N. And in this case, it's going to be broad, L-E-A. So A, it's a broad vowel, so therefore we're going to use the broad endings. That means it's going to be F-A-I-N-N and F-A father as opposed to E-A father. And same thing, F-A-D-H as opposed to F-E-A-D-H. That's the exact same thing as, let's say, it's Jane-he, but then it's Feck-he. Okay, so there, A with A, I with I. It doesn't even have to be the same letter, but broad with broad, slender with slender. Following me so far? Hopefully. There's a lot in this. You don't need to understand everything I'm going on about, guys. Far from that, even if you just pick up 2 or 3 things in this video and you feel a bit more informed on the Coinníollach, great, thumbs up. Come back in a 0 or 2, watch it again, see can you pick 1 or 2 other things. And any questions, whether it's Patreon or YouTube, just leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you when I can. So, as you probably guessed, not quite as simple as what we've spoken about so far. And I have referred to the golden rule before, which I'm going to refer back to here. And that is start modification, end modification. So changing one thing at the start, changing one thing at the end. We've pretty much covered now what to do in terms of changing it at the end, in terms of adding on our endings, just like the present and future tense, and what those endings are going to be. But what about the start? Well, we need to change one thing at the start, and normally it's just add a H. In fact, if you know your rules off very well for the past tense, it's the exact same rules really as the past tense. That is, if we can add a H, we'll add a H. Or if it begins with a vowel, it will take a D apostrophe. And if it's an F, it will take a D and a H. That might sound very confusing, but if you're comfortable with past tense, you'll know that automatically. So again, if we have éist as the root, you know in the past tense, it's going to be D apostrophe, d'éist mé. So we just added on a D there because it began with a vowel. Same thing for ahri as the root, dahri, tu, or whatever. It doesn't matter who's doing the action, it's not going to change. If we take tog, which we're going to be looking at in the Coinníollach in a second, all we do to put that in the past tense is add a H. Your issue here might be you're actually so used to doing this, especially if you've learned Irish from a young age and then taking it back up again, you might be very used to doing this without actually realise you're doing it. So bool, but then changing to vool. Okay, so adding the H on, and then if it begins with an F, it takes both the G and the H, because the F is kind of like a vowel, but it's also like a consonant in Irish, so therefore it'd be dog, may, coming from the root fog. So it's the exact same rule. That's how we're going to change it at the start. A few examples here we have, just to go up. Tógach sé is going to be incorrect, so that would be if we kind of applied our logic up until now. We just added on the end modification, but again, start, end modification, we need to change one thing on the start. In this case, just add a H, so you can almost imagine it's the past tense inside it, or just add a H or a D apostrophe, depending on what it is. Or if it's an F, add both. Búlhin is going to be incorrect. Wúlhin. Okay? Again, that hin sounds towards the end as opposed to just wúlin, which might well sound like the present tense. So hin sounds more so. Number 2, again, add D apostrophe like we've talked about before if it's a vowel or an F. So éist hin is incorrect. D'éist hin, correct. And then ekha would be incorrect. We need jekha. Okay? So there we'd actually add both. And there it is, start modification. End modifications, that's the number one thing to remember when it comes to the Coinníollach. What about the long verbs? We've only looked at short verbs so far. We've looked at broad short verbs, slender short verbs, and how it's not really going to make too much of a difference. It's just in terms of spelling of it, pronunciation, it won't change too much. So how do you do it with the long verbs? There's a few ways you can approach this. If you want, you can just learn off these endings. So you can use the same kind of logic we've used so far. We're going to have first person, we're going to have second person, and then we're going to have everyone else. And we can think, okay, that's the slender one, that's the broad one. If you want to do that, you can. But what I like to do is just imagine you're putting that O in between your root and your ending. What do I mean by that? Let's say I had the verb canny. Okay, and this is what we're going to be looking at. I'll go back to my work here, my rough work. Difficult to say. Try it. Canny. So what someone who's watched this video up until this point, before we've mentioned the long verbs, might think is, okay, start modification, add the H, and then I'm just going to add on my hin. But that's not going to be correct. So what I need to do, that's the equivalent of in the present tense, saying this, canon. But we don't. What do we say in the present tense for I buy? Caníon may. Caníon may. So we add that bit in the middle. So with the Coinníollach, you're going to add that bit in the middle. Again, we don't say can he, we say canoi. And that's actually a good place to move on from, because we're always going to use that kind of future O. So a lot of the Coinníollach is connected to the past in terms of what happens at the start, but in terms of long verbs, it's connected more so to the future. So again, if I remember my hin, fa, and och, I can just move from there. So I know canny is my root, and I know I want to add hin at the end, because I know hin, fa, och, I have it drilled in. So what do? I just add the little o fada in the middle, like I would for the future tense. Again, I'm not going to say can he. The he sound I want, because it's future, but I'm not going to spell it like that. I'm going to put in my o, because it's long, and then the he, canoi. Okay, and move on from there. So it's the exact same thing. In this case, we still need to do our change at the start, add our o fada in the middle, and then just a normal ending. Okay, and that'll be the same then for o fada in. There we go. For the broad one, for I would buy. Okay, first person, and we have it here as well. So that's the key thing. We need a long ending for a long verb, and it's a mistake I see all the time in the CV here, the Modh and Coinníollach, and I understand why people are so used to hin, fa, hoch, they're just throwing that on the end, but think about it, slow down, better to do it slow and get it correct, and think about the long verbs, okay? And how again, in future, I'm not going to say can he, I'm going to say can no he, because I'm adding that little extension in the middle for long verbs. Same here, la roitu in the future, so la ro fa. So my little trick here, instead of remembering these different endings, just get the verb in the future tense first, so you can work that way as well. La roi me, and then replace the e with the hin, fa, or och. Okay, that's probably even explains better the way I've written it out there as opposed to the way I'm explaining it. Just take the verb in the future if you find it easier to do it that way, and then just remove the e because that's always for future. We're not in future, we're in conditional, and add the hin, ha, or och. What do we have from here? Just a few other examples. So Jim Roi me for I will place there for Jim Ro hin, and Jim Ro fa for you would play. Those are all available in the sheet. So what about the irregulars? Well, what makes a verb irregular? When we say a verb is irregular, let me show you very quickly. Let's take a regular verb, a normal verb that behaves normally. Tog is the root. All I do is add my H for past tense. All I do is add my ending for present tense. And all I do is add my ending again for future tense. Notice here, the root is always the same. But if I take something a bit more difficult, hui me, an irregular verb, so this is again, the root would be che. It's going to be hui me, chain me or chaim, and then rocky me. So I'm now looking at this and thinking, geez, but what do I use? I hardly use che as the actual root. But then do I take the root from the past tense, present tense, future tense? This is what makes an irregular verb irregular. The fact that it doesn't just use the same root through the past, present, and future. So what am I going to do? I'm always going to use the future root. Okay, the future root. So I'm going to use in this case roch. And then it's just the same things again. Rock is a bit irregular. The fact takes A-I-N-N-N. But again, if you're not writing some Yaosh, if you're just speaking, there's not going to be any difference. Okay? So rochin, rochfa, rochach she, roch she, rochach muds, rochach shiv, agus rochach sheet. Okay? So the different spelling, don't be put off by that. And, there's a few of the irregulars as well that would be unlikely to come up in the Modh and Coinníollach. So you pretty quickly get to a point where it's actually only 7 or 8 that are going to come up fairly regularly. And some of those, their root is actually what their future root is anyway. If I take feck, for example, hunnic me, fecken me, and then fecky me, well, what's the future root? It's feck, which actually is the root anyway. The verb to see is only really irregular in the past. But if it's irregular in one tense, it's irregular as a verb in general. So that makes it a lot easier. So there's not actually too many where you're going to have to use that. And we haven't mentioned the verb to be. You can do this with the verb to be, but it is slightly tricky. Okay? So let's say there we'd have vime, tame, and then baime. So what am I doing there? I'm removing my IDH because that's not the ending, let's say I want. I don't want future ending. I'm putting on my H star modification and then I'm adding on my ending, my ugh ending in because it's irregular. We don't have the F and you make vech, in this case, verche. Let's say verche, verchi, and therefore vein, vefa as well. You can do it that way. It's such a short verb and irregular, it's kind of tricky to do. So better just to remember, and obviously this is the verb you're probably going to be using most in the Modh and Coinníollach. Just kind of learn that off by heart, that it's going to be vein, vefa, and then veich as well. Okay, for first, second, and all the rest. But again, going to show you a trick, especially if you're focusing on Connacht Irish, very, very shortly in just 2 minutes, about how you can avoid using those first and second endings. But remember, you always control what you say, but you don't control what other people say. So you need to be able to understand it even if you don't want to use it, because anybody could use it at any time. And this also connects to what we're going to finish off on today, guys. And as always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below. If you've not followed me, or if you're a bit concerned about something here, you're not fully sure if you have something right, or if you want to ask me if a translation in the Modh and Coinníollach is correct, just leave it down below. Munster conjugation. In Munster, they love fusion. It's one of the big defining features of Munster Irish is fusion. So let's say on a really simple level, saying Tom instead of Tá mé, saying Janeam instead of Jane and May. And it's the same in the Modh Coinníollach. So they use a few extra endings. Obviously, first, second person, they love that. They're all over that. It's fused endings. They're going to use it. She and she, there are no fused endings for it. But for we and they, there are fused endings you can use. These are mainly used in Munster Irish. In a lot of textbooks that would teach, let's say, Standard Irish, you would get two translations. You would be told you can use Léigh Arís or you could use Modh, Sheed in that case, or Lachmish and then Modh. So you can use both of them. I think as a learner, unless you're trying to focus on Munster Irish, it's just going to be easier to do and then always add on your pronoun at the end because there's one less thing to change. But you do need to be able to understand this, and bear in mind a lot of Munster speakers will use Amish and Adís. If you're looking for more on this, we've made some videos on Munster Irish before, but we also have the new Munster Irish listening course over on the website learnirishonline.com, and it goes through a lot of stuff like this tendencies of Munster Irish. So Mish and then Adís as the endings for we and they, and that would apply for any verb. We don't have it written out here, but Rockamish and then Rockadish for we would go and they would go. Again, more so heard in Munster, but can be heard from a lot of people who've learned the language as a second language and who have learned, let's say, on Kites on Ufgul standard. So what is that last bit of information I was promising you guys in terms of making it a bit easier for yourself? Now, as I said, it is very important. You need to be able to understand this. You can't control what other people read and write. You can control what you say. So people will use this form. This is the most used form in terms of first and second person and all the rest of it. But if you want to make it a bit easier for yourself, and especially if you're focusing on Connacht Irish, in Connacht and in Connemara, the most common form of doing the Modh Coinníollach is like this, but with non-fused endings. So in other words, just using and then may and to afterwards for everything. Do not let anyone tell you this is incorrect. Some people, some different teachers from different dialects say that's incorrect, you shouldn't do it. Feel free to do it. If it's done in one of the main dialects and it's done widespread across Connemara and as well sometimes in Ulster, ruchach me, ruchach tu, same for any verb obviously, veach me, veach tu, veach she, veach she, and it becomes basically like the present and the future, that we have one ending for everyone and then we can just tag on the pronoun afterwards to say who's doing the action. If you want to do that, you can do that. I wouldn't recommend it if you're focusing on Munster Irish. I wouldn't even recommend it if you're focusing on Ulster Irish too much. But don't worry, if you're ever kind of speaking and you're a bit lost and you're thinking, geez, I need to use the Modh Coinníollach, I can only think of third person onwards, I can only think of veach, feel free to say veach me, it's fine, and do not let anyone tell you it's incorrect. And especially if you're focusing on Connacht Irish, this is the form you should be using, and it makes things a hell of a lot easier for you. So that is it, guys, in terms of the Modh Coinníollach. As I said, a lot of info in there. The PDF, if you remember, on Patreon will be available for download below, and all the other cheat sheets are available on the cheat sheet pack on the learnirishonline.com website. All the links for that stuff will be down below. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully that cleared some things up, and this will be a reference video on Patreon, I guess, for people over the next few years. We'll be coming back to watch it anytime I refer to it in videos, along with all the other reference videos on some of the trickier subjects or most important subjects in the language. Don't get overawed by it. Like anything in Irish, you don't need to have it perfect. Just keep on improving, keep on learning, keep on getting better by experience. Embrace mistakes and you will get there, and enjoy the process. It's not about a specific destination. Gurmí Lamagi, as veig féchans an níos an sa, guys, the Roma live ag Jan Kupla Law Arís, Slangafol.